You might remember last year we took a trip to KwaZulu-Natal land to ride some Suzuki adventure bikes. It was all jolly good fun, but there was one bike in particular that attracted our interest, the little 250 SX. At the time we only had an hour or so of riding on it, and we've been trying to get hold of it again ever since to put it through its proper paces. Although this was a little bit tricky because Suzuki had a bit of a problem of selling them all before we could have another go. The reason for this is that this adventure machine is on sale for just 59,000 Rand. And now finally we get a go.
This is definitely one of the best value for money motorcycles out there anywhere. And Suzuki does a lot of that. Their pricing is always amazingly good. It's like I'm pretty sure some of the other brands look at Suzuki's pricings and sort of thinks, how do they do that? I wonder that myself.
So then, what is it exactly?
It's an adventure bike. So it's got all the adventure stuff. It's got a lovely screen up ahead, keeping the wind off my face. That works pretty well. It's got a seat. It's not the biggest seat in the world. It's not the most comfortable, but it's alright. You know, I could sit here all day. I'll be alright. I've sat here for most of the day and I still feel pretty good. It's got suspension that works well enough. It's got brakes that work well enough. It's very simple. It's got this very simple digital dash. Nothing too over the top, but more than you need. No fancy electronics apart from ABS, which is good. Everything you might need wrapped up into one little package.
Indeed, and all designed with the same duckbill front that signifies the V-Strom look, so it's definitely part of the family. This is though, of course, the little sibling. The motor is a simple oil-cooled single-cylindered 4-stroke, pushing out 26 horsepower and 22 Nm of torque.
And that takes us to a top speed of somewhere a little south of 160, maybe 160. The fastest I've seen is 154. Maybe somebody who's a bit lighter with a bit more sort of coastal air pressure will get better. What is important though is that this bike can cruise on the freeway at freeway speed. So you can do 120, 130, maybe even 140 quite happily. Which means it is capable tar road motorcycle. And it's light and it's nippy and it handles through corners and feels good. I'll go distances with it, not too slowly. I can go around corners, I can have fun, go on breakfast runs. It's a great little commuter, easy to ride, feel efficient, brilliant in every way.
However, if this is indeed an adventure machine, we need to test it in the crucible of off-road. So off the road we go.
Now, of course, this bike can also cruise happily along at 130, 140 on a dirt road, which is faster than just about anybody on a dirt road does. Adventure motorcycles anyway, including people with 1,000 more cc's. I'm actually going to suggest that because this feels smaller and feels lighter, you could probably go faster on a dirt road on this than most people would go on their adventure bikes.
The wet weight of this machine is a nimble 167 kilograms, 100 kilograms less than some of the more portlier adventure machines. It has a steel frame that should endure decades of abuse, a 19-inch front wheel and some suspension.
Let's be clear, the suspension isn't exactly exploring the heights of travel. Suspension travel, that is. The suspension, on off-road, it's a little bit hard. It's a bit hard. I'm not going to break my spine, but this is a bumpy road. The cars have left a lot of those sort of ruts on this thing. And you can feel it. Oh!
It might be harder than some other adventure machines, but it isn't a deal breaker. This bike is a lot of fun.
This is light and nippy. And this motor is not overpowering. It makes you want to rev it more. It makes you want to open the throttle. It's a small, simple, fun motorcycle. There we go, into a corner, down a gear. Round we go, lots of bumps. Accelerate hard. There we go. This is that motor like a little buzzsaw. Revving its living. Revving the life out of it. Another corner. Accelerate. Oh, okay, that's a bit of a bad bump there. I didn't break my spine. I maybe fused a few vertebrae, but I didn't break my spine. And that's good. You definitely wouldn't want to do motocross on this bike.
And with that,
Whee! Whee! Let's go for the triple jump. Whee! Oh, look at that whoop section. Fantastic. And now to flawlessly clear the tabletop. Perfect. Ryan Filippoto Dungy couldn't do better.
and with that childish interlude over, we get back to the real world.
You'll notice I'm not doing the most complex off-road stuff. Because let's be fair, 19-inch wheels, not the most suspension travel, not the best ground clearance, and, you know, not really quite that much in the way of protection. Guards and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, you wouldn't want to go too overboard. So you see I'm doing kind of light off-road riding. And it works well. I'm falling more and more in love with bikes like this one. Yeah, bikes that are sort of, I suppose people call them cheerful. This isn't cheerful, it's encouraging you to open the throttle ball, going, come on, faster! It wants to hang with the big 1000cc plus adventure bikes. It's like, I can do it, let's go. Take them on, take them on. And like I said, if you've ridden with anybody who rides any of those big adventure bikes, it's a good chance you can.
This motorcycle is brilliant for somebody who wants to partake in the glorious world of adventure motorcycling, but doesn't want to spend somewhere north of 300,000 Rand for one of the adventure monsters. Or perhaps someone who likes the idea of riding something small, easy and simple. Or perhaps someone who is just finding their adventure feet. And that brings us on to an interesting conversation.
So the law of South Africa says that at the age of 16 you can ride a bike up to 125cc. Now, at the moment the current crop of 125s are mostly just sort of air-cooled, single-cylindered. Yeah, you know, they're kind of fun, I suppose, if you're a kid. But life could have been more fun, like when we were a kid. I mean, those little bikes are fun, but I mean, some of them are not the most sort of gutsy. I mean, there are a few that have a top speed of -5 if there's a bit of a headwind.
However, being a teenager in the 90s gave us all sorts of options, especially the two-stroke 125s. They didn't cost too much, had a top speed somewhere close to 180 kilometers per hour, and were fun little pocket rockets that made teenagers want to take up the motorcycling lifestyle. Here's the quandary though. Those bikes were faster than the current crop of 254 strokes, had weedy little forks armed with springs from a Parker pen, frames that would twist in half if you go around a corner too fast, tires made of marble, twinned with brakes that just lock up if you try any sort of emergency stop.
I'm convinced that this bike is safer than the bikes we used to ride back then. It's safer, it's got better suspension, better chassis, easier to use motor, that's not faster than the bikes we had then. And more importantly, ABS. ABS makes a difference.
Indeed, so with all that in mind, why don't we allow the younger generation to ride 254 strokes like this? It's a no-brainer.